Hello everybody, this is Matty here with Altcoin Buzz. Hope you're doing very well. In the news roundup today, we're going to talk about the unfortunate circumstances happening with titanium blockchain. We're also going to take a look at some international headlines out of the UK, out of Russia, out of Spain, all kinds of regulatory developments that are unfolding out of those countries, not necessarily negative or positive one way or another. But we're going to take a look at those developments. But we're beginning, as always, on altcoinbuzz.io with an article here by Christopher. So SEC investigates blockchain evangelist Michael Stollaire titanium bar scam. So the federal court in California granted the SEC's request to halt an allegedly fraudulent ICO. And the guy behind it, Michael Stollaire, aka Stollaire, aka Michael Stollaire. He's, quote, the mastermind behind the titanium blockchain bar token and later the T-bar token scam. And up until January 2018, Stollaire raised over $21 million US in Bitcoin and Ethereum in exchange for the bar token. And as some of you may know, there were all kinds of developments following that. There were some price fluctuations, of course. But it was a promising project initially because Stollaire quoted all kinds of partnerships. So he talked about Apple, eBay, IBM, Intel, PayPal, Microsoft, and all of this information was publicized as such back last year in November of 2017. So then enter the SEC. They published a report yesterday saying, quote, Titanium president Michael Allen Stollaire, aka Michael Stollaire, a self-described, quote, blockchain evangelist, lied about business relationships with the Federal Reserve and dozens of well-known firms, including those ones I just mentioned. The complaint alleges that Titanium's website contained fabricated testimonials from corporate customers and that Stollaire publicly and fraudulently claimed to have relationships with numerous corporate clients. The complaint alleges that Stollaire promoted the ICO through videos and social media and compared it to investing in Intel or Google. So fast forward a little bit, guys, the titanium blockchain price was relatively high, but then it was hacked back in February of this year. 16 million bar tokens went missing. So it went from trading about 0.6 US dollars to 0.002. That was a very, very sharp decline. And then there was a second token that was created. There were some operational adjustments that were made. We went back up to 0.23 US dollars and up again to 0.65 on April 8th. So there was a whole range of wild price fluctuation. But in light of this news, we are now down once again at about 0.024 US dollars. At the time of this article's publication, it may be lower now. So obviously in response to what the SEC had to say. Unfortunate news, guys. What can we say? That's, a little bit of the landscape, unfortunately, sometimes in the world of crypto. It's still the Wild West. Any bag holders out there for T-bar? What are your thoughts? I mean, this is pretty outrageous, the conduct of Michael Stollaire. And I can only hope that he is met with the full wrath of the law and any legal proceedings that the SEC may want to file. So here's a link to their report. SEC obtains emergency order halting fraudulent coin offering scheme. Unfortunate. We're going to keep an eye on that and see what develops. In related news, an article by our Aussie mate James Skirett. UK financial watchdog opens investigations into crypto businesses. So staying on the regulatory side of things, multiple businesses are under the microscope as the UK's financial watchdog closes in on enterprises reported to be operating illegally within the crypto marketplace, according to the country's regulation laws. So the United Kingdom, it's known for tea and crumpets and knights and castles. Yes, that is the archetype, or some of the archetypes associated with it. However, lately, we got to talk about the FCA, the Financial Conduct Authority, which has confirmed there are currently 24 pending investigations into cryptocurrency businesses. So the FCA stated earlier this year that several reports were already being prepared in relation to cryptocurrency businesses that they were investigating into further 24 unauthorized enterprises active in the cryptocurrency space. The FCA is investigating into whether these businesses have been engaged in regulated activities without proper authorization. The FCA required businesses that operate within the cryptocurrency space to meet authorized regulator requirements, stating that refusal to comply would constitute a criminal offense. However, they did want to stress that not all cryptocurrency assets did fall within their regulatory scope. So last month, they revealed in a 2018-2019 business plan, which you're going to link to, of course, they stated in that plan, quote, cryptocurrencies has been an area of increasing interest for market and regulators globally. They also noted that while cryptocurrencies currently don't fall directly under their regulatory perimeter, they made clear that some models of use of packaging bring them within their scope, making the landscape complex. So it's an interesting push here that's being made because you have all of this stuff that's happening internationally. Of course, we've heard regulatory news out of China. Of course, we've heard regulatory news out of South Korea, other Asian countries. But now increasingly, you're reading about it in the United States. We just covered an article looking at the SEC, for example. What do you guys think about this? The FCA out of UK, and of course, we're going to link to their website here. So the Financial Conduct Authority, you can read more about what they represent and the authorities that they constitute. And of course, that all-important report that we mentioned, so our business plan, the FCA's business plan for 2018 and 2019. I'm kind of two minds about this because on the one hand, FUD is never welcome. We don't want to have unnecessary FUD. But if you have some fair regulations, some by-the-book rules that are enforced that really weeds out the unscrupulous, the Stollaires of the world, and people that are just acting illegitimately. If we can kind of weed those out, then I don't know. I can kind of get behind that at the same time. So it's I'm kind of torn in two directions when I read about news like this. Would love to hear your comments and your thoughts, soldiers. So do be sure to list them below. In other international news, we talked about Russia yesterday. We talked about China as well. Russian research paper proposes that cryptocurrencies are not currently a threat to global financial stability. Article by Garrett. So the current low volume within current crypto market conditions has led the Central Bank of Russia to declare that cryptocurrencies do not pose risk to global financial stability. Russia has been looking into cryptocurrencies for a while now, and recent developments include the Russian State Duma approving the first reading of regulation legislation for the crypto industry, which defined cryptocurrency as property, as well as rules for dealing in the space. Other developments include last week's announcement that the Russian bank Sberbank CIB, where they announced the country's official ICO launch. Igor Bulantsev, president of Sberbank CIB, said that the Russian ICO market is highly promising and that banks are interested in the idea of using their own ICOs for fundraising. And yesterday, the Central Bank of Russia released a research paper in which they presented their findings on the threat of cryptocurrencies to the global financial system. The report argues that the transaction volume in the crypto space is too low for the threat to global financial stability. So pretty interesting observations. And it's also worth noting that usage of the term cryptocurrency should be replaced with crypto asset. That's according to the paper that we just referenced. So Garrett goes on to describe or talk about the thought experiment of, okay, well, if that's the case, what happens if that trading volume doubles? What if it goes up 10 times? What if it were to go up 100 times? I mean, years down the road, that's not inconceivable. So would cryptocurrency and crypto assets, rather, would they then represent a threat to financial stability if it's just a function of volume? I mean, I think it's quite likely that volume would increase with time. So it will be interesting to see what the reaction would be in the future. But positive news in a sense for now, given that they're saying that the crypto market and crypto assets are not a threat to financial stability. So you can take a look here at this report. Russian State Duma almost unanimously approves first reading of crypto industry bill. And then, of course, we mentioned a report by the Russian Central Bank. You can take a look at that here. That's in the original Russian. Of course, we're going to link to all of these in the description. In other news, Paxos secured $65 million of investments. Article here by Licia. So Paxos, which is a blockchain and cryptocurrency startup, has raised $65 million from investors, reports Reuters. The company, which is New York-based, has claimed that its investors include VC firms like RRE Ventures and Liberty City Ventures, raising a total of $93 million to date. Wow. So it is crucial. It is a crucial time, in the financial markets. Quote, we are an inflection point. We're at an inflection point to reduce the risk in our financial system and free capital trapped by an archaic settlement system, said Charles Cascarilla, CEO of Paxos. Over the past 3 years, we have focused on building the right infrastructure to enable a modern-day settlement solution that will unlock capital, mobilize assets, and create value. So I just wanted to mention this in passing, guys. You can read Licia's article here in full and take a deeper dive into the details. But that's a pretty big fundraising effort, and that's a successful initiative by Paxos. Of course, you can check out their website here. So every day we fail to solve the problem of settlement risk, we put the entire financial system at risk. Nice shot of Shanghai. That's where I called home for a little while. So take a look at the Paxos website. Take a look at this article. Paxos continues growth of modern settlement platform with $65 million Series B funding. Another article, Paxos, now authorized by New York's Department of Financial Services to offer blockchain precious metals platform. That's an encouraging development. And finally, Reuters, the original report, blockchain and cryptocurrency startup Paxos raises $65 million. What do you think, guys? Are you familiar with Paxos? Do you think we're moving in a good direction? Is this good news? Let us know your comments below, of course. And rounding out the regulatory news, the international regulatory news, another article by Garrett, Spanish Congress approves innovation-focused regulatory legislation. So yesterday, the Spanish Congress unanimously supported a draft of legislation regarding innovation-focused regulation of the blockchain and cryptocurrencies. All parties in the Spanish Congress of Deputies found something they could agree on yesterday. They unanimously agreed on draft legislation regarding plans for the regulation of cryptocurrencies and blockchain. The draft stresses the need to review current regulations of blockchain and cryptocurrencies and introduce new regulation in, quote, controlled testing environments. The draft regulation also emphasizes the need for entities using the blockchain to comply with Spanish Treasury requirements, such as regular information disclosure to the Treasury and investors, as well as the timely filing of tax returns. So this is pretty good news, I think. And you'll recall back in February, as Garrett points out, the European Commission announced the launch of a blockchain observatory and forum that aims to unite the EU economy around the blockchain. So, regulations kind of rub people the wrong way sometimes because regulations, can lead to FUD, can lead to, a lack of confidence sometimes or fear. Ultimately, the way I see it is that we want this space to grow. And if we're seeing, again, I'll say it, fair, standardized regulation out of the US, out of the UK, out of the EU, out of Spain now, if we can do it in such a way that's fair to the startups, that's not penalizing to investors as far as taxation goes, then I think we do need a bit of regulation. And this could be encouraging depending on the details. Of course, we're going to link to those details. You can read more about it here. So that announcement by the European Commission launches EU Blockchain Observatory and Forum. You can read about that further with this link. And Spanish Congress unanimously supports a bill for blockchain regulation. You can take a look at that here in the original Spanish. El Congreso, you get the rest of it there. I won't tempt fate with that reading of the headline. Take a look at that, guys, and take a look at Altcoin Buzz News on Twitter because we're going to alert you here to the latest as far as what's happening in the world of news. So do be sure you're following Altcoin Buzz News if you are on Twitter. If you like this video, guys, leave it a thumbs up. Make sure you're subscribed to our YouTube channel because we have new content coming out for you every day. In the meantime, soldiers, I wish you happy investing. Have a good day. Take care, and we'll see you again soon.